When they finally break down and tell you something's the matter. Like when we were on the online at the very beginning of the year, we started out online. You would see them, they would come on, you'd do your little class and you'd say hi. But it became one of those when the one or two would stay behind and they just needed to talk to somebody. When we transitioned to hybrid, and it was those kids in school, always coming to my class and asking questions about the work, or kids who were not even in my class coming in just to do the experiments we were doing just because they wanted to learn and they wanted to do stuff. And then for the paper packet kids, it was them just calling me. Even if it was out of the blue in the middle of class, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to tell them no. I would stop my class, give them something to do so I can talk with my kid who took 5 minutes to try to find a hill to call me from to ask me a question. And, and I didn't take these little moments for granted. I took every single one of them and I made the best of every single one because I knew how hard it was for me, and I could just imagine how hard it was for them to just do those little things. So, I took all of those little moments as just huge wins.
The thing I'm most proud of are definitely my students. I have students who routinely struggle in a traditional learning setting who, finally come to me and say, I get it. I understand what we're talking about here. And I have one student in particular, he's kind of pictured right here. He wrote a nice little highlight for me for the Fayette County Public Schools STAR program. And basically he said he was able to be successful in financial literacy because of one of my money skills classes that I taught. And that just really warmed my heart.
I have a young man, first period, first week of school. He came in, he was so angry. I said, oh, I realize that we live in such different circumstances, and I am sorry for that, and I cannot help that. I can only help what happens in my classroom. And in my classroom, I'm going to give everybody the same opportunity. And I rode him hard all year, just making sure he turned in all his work and he understood everything that I wanted to give him. And he wasn't at the complete top of his class, but he was in the top 15%, and he got a scholarship to go on. And I feel so proud of students like that because they can succeed. And I want them to believe in that.
The thing I'm most proud of is a group of students that I had from year 2 to year 4. No, I'm sorry, year 1 to year 3. And when I very first started teaching, I started in 10th grade. And I had a group of students, I would say probably 20 or 30 of them, which spread between multiple classes. And I had those students all the way until 12th grade. One day in class, I was teaching something about derivatives, and they just all gave up. They put their hands up and said, I'm done. I don't get this. I won't get this. And so that day I stopped teaching, and we had a discussion really about growing up and passing classes and persevering. And I addressed kind of to them what was going on. What this does is it opens doors in college. This class is going to make it able so when you go to college, you can do exactly what you want. And that half hour, their faces just lit up. And from the rest of the year on, it just increased the rapport and the motivation and the class energy to a point where every day they're coming to class ready to go. And that ties up there for me with graduation, because when that class graduated, I thought it was the super corny thing when I would ask teachers what makes teaching great, and they would say that moment of pride when my student graduates. The pride I feel when my students move on. And I thought that was the corniest, most fake answer until I sat at my graduation, and I just happened to also give this speech at graduation, my third year of teaching, and so I got to recognize some of those students. And to see them walk up and I got to know some of their families and talk to their families, and it was as if my own children I was passing off a rite of passage that you guys did it. You guys are ready to go to the real world now. And it was that group of students just filled me with so much pride.
One of my major goals as a teacher is to ensure that when my students walk into a college or technical school course that is related to something that I've taught, that they don't feel like they don't know what's going on. I want them to be prepared. And that has been the underlying goal for everything that I'm doing, is preparing them for whatever future they're in. And a lot of my students will come back, or their parents, usually their parents, will come back a couple of years after they've been gone and say, so-and-so really did really well in their chemistry class, their biology class, their anatomy class, whatever. And they won't tell you, but they will have told me that they attribute that success to your determination and your drive, and you're pushing them in high school. I really appreciate that, and it really gives me the drive to keep that pressure on my students and to keep that rigor at that same level, because I know that it's helpful and beneficial to them when they get outside of my classroom.
The thing that I'm most proud of teaching has been the local news award that I received. It's the Golden Apple Award here in South Carolina from WYFF. And the reason why it's means so much to me is it is nominated by students or students' parents. And in this case, it was actually a student I taught my very first year teaching. When I was, I get emotional just thinking about it because it just means so much to me. But when I was just trying my best to make sure I showed up on time, a lot of times we don't realize the impact that we're making. And this student, she had already gone to high school, and so it had been 4-ish years since I had taught her, and she still looked back at the time with me and felt that it was enough for her to write an essay to submit it. And I found out this was the second time that she had submitted me. It really drives home that as teachers, we make a difference, and we may not realize it at the time, but eventually you'll see how, hopefully you'll get to see what a difference you make to these kids.
My national board certification, it was just something that was the most rewarding challenge I've ever faced. And I was just so proud of myself once I earned it. Before this project, I'm not sure I even knew what national board certification was or what it entailed. And once I, jumped into it and just saw the process, the thought, everything that goes into it, I was just very proud of myself for having finished it. And I definitely, hands down to anyone who attempts it or even pursues it. And definitely for those who earn it, it's just such a great thing that I think more people need to know about and try.
I guess I'm proud of, the relationships I've built with students, the fact that I've been able to connect with students who are quite different than me. So I'm proud of that. And I'm also proud of the fact that I've been able to kind of take it beyond my own classroom a little bit. I'm the chair of our math department at the school. And I've actually been able to use, I think, a lot of what I got through my education at Mills and through the Noyce and the kind of ongoing support that comes with that to, I feel, be a teacher. I have confidence in myself that I can offer, that I have some ideas about how to become a better teacher, how to do inquiry. And I bring that to my department and help other teachers kind of, do inquiry on their own teaching and try and do their own professional development in that way. And I've gotten a lot of good feedback from teachers that I work with that they really appreciate that.
I think the thing that I am currently most proud of in my teaching career is watching all the opportunities that I get to watch teachers grow. I've had a handful this past year of fairly young and experienced teachers that I've gotten to work with, and to just watch them have this intense desire to grow and learn and, take in new things that I've been able to share with them that I learned as part of my program. Hey, let's try this. And then watch them try something new and then be really successful with it and then want to learn, okay, what's next? That is like what gets me up in the morning and gets me excited about going to school, is watching that opportunity for teachers to grow, and then in turn, how that affects their students and how they interact with their students all the time.